Most people do not lose opportunities because they lack talent. They lose them because their meaning never lands. If you have ever walked away from a conversation replaying it in your head, thinking, that is not what I meant, I understand you. If you have ever felt your chest tighten when someone misreads your tone, or you watch a message you worked hard on get flattened into something cold, you are not broken. You are dealing with a nervous system that wants safety and a mind that assumes other people can see what you see. They cannot. Communication is not what you say. It is what the other person is able to receive. Late at night, when everything is quiet, you can feel how much of your life is shaped by small exchanges. A look that tells you you are welcome. A sentence that makes you shut down. A moment where you reach for the right words and come up with nothing. Effective communication is not a performance. It is a form of emotional regulation, attention control, and social prediction. It is the art of getting your inner world across the bridge into someone else's. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Your words are only a small part of the message. People listen with their threat detector first. That threat detector is the amygdala, the brain's alarm system that scans for danger. When it senses danger, it narrows attention and prepares the body to fight, flee, or freeze. In that state, the smartest sentence in the world will bounce off. So the first skill is not vocabulary. It is safety. Safety does not mean being soft. It means being clear and non-threatening at the same time. I have watched people walk into a room and start explaining, stacking facts, adding reasons, trying to be understood. The more they talk, the less they are heard. Not because the content is bad, but because the listener's nervous system is already bracing. You can hear it in short replies, the eyes drifting, the jaw set. When you sense that, the move is not to push harder. The move is to lower the temperature. I think of it like walking into a dark house at night. If you slam the door, every animal in the walls goes still. If you move slowly, you let the space adjust to you. Communication is the same. Pace is persuasion. Tone is permission. One of the biggest traps is something called the curse of knowledge, which means once you know something, it becomes hard to imagine not knowing it. You start speaking from the middle of your own movie. You skip the opening scene. You assume context. You assume shared definitions. Then you feel frustrated when the other person does not follow. Effective communicators do the opposite. They rewind. They set the scene. They do not make the listener pay attacks just to understand. I can feel the difference in my body when someone does this. When a person says less, but each sentence has handles I can grab. When they use simple words, not because they are simple, but because they respect attention. Attention is a limited resource. It is like holding water in your hands. If you demand too much, it leaks out. There is also a second truth. People do not argue with your logic as much as they argue with what your logic implies about them. If your message threatens their identity, they will resist it even if it is correct. Identity is the story a person tells about who they are and how they survive. When you trigger identity threat, you trigger defensiveness. Defensiveness is not stubbornness. It is self-protection. This is why you can deliver feedback perfectly and still watch it fail. The words are fine. The meaning underneath is, you are not good enough. The brain hears that as danger. It does not matter if you never said it. The brain fills in the blank. So I slow down and I ask myself a quiet question. What is the emotional meaning they might attach to this? Not what I intend, what they might hear. This is empathy, but not the sentimental kind. It is prediction. It is social intelligence. There is a skill I return to again and again. Affect labeling, which means naming the emotion you see in yourself or the other person in plain language. When you label emotion, the brain often calms because the feeling becomes organized. It moves from raw sensation into something the mind can hold. If I feel heat rising in my chest, I might silently name it as irritation. That label creates a small gap. Inside that gap, I get choice. I also watch for cognitive distortions, which are thinking errors that feel true. The most common one in communication is mind reading, assuming you know what the other person thinks. Another is personalization, assuming their mood is about you. Another is all or nothing thinking, treating one awkward moment as proof you always fail. These distortions do not just affect your mood, they change your tone. They make you sharper, faster, more defensive. People feel that. Effective communication often starts before you speak. It starts with the state you bring into the room. If you are tense, you will sound like a verdict. If you are calm, you will sound like an invitation. And calm is not a personality trait. It is a practice of attention. I notice where my attention goes when I feel misunderstood. It goes to proving, it goes to winning, it goes to collecting evidence. That is a normal impulse. It is also a trap. The moment I try to win, I stop trying to connect. Then I lose the very thing I want. Persuasion is not force. It is friction reduction. It is making it easy for the other person to move to your meaning without losing dignity. Dignity is the hidden currency of human interaction. People will pay money to protect it. They will pay relationships to protect it. They will burn opportunities to protect it. So I focus on two invisible questions that are always present. Do you respect me, and are you safe? If the other person can answer yes to both, they will listen longer. They will ask better questions. They will offer more truth. A lot of people think good communication is being interesting. I think it is being accurate. Accurate about what you want. Accurate about what you feel. Accurate about what you are asking for. Most conflict is not about big differences. It is about vague requests and unspoken expectations. When I say vague, I mean sentences that sound like smoke. You never help. You do not care. This is always on me. Those sentences are emotional, but they are not actionable. They also provoke defensiveness because they attack identity. The brain hears, you are a bad person. Then the conversation turns into a trial. Actionable language is different. It points to a specific moment, a specific behavior, a specific impact. Not to punish, but to create shared reality. Shared reality is the feeling that we are looking at the same facts. Without it, there is no stable ground. I have learned to treat communication like tuning an instrument. If the string is too tight, it snaps. If it is too loose, it will not play. Too much intensity and people shut down. Too little and nothing changes. The art is in the tension. Listening is where most of the art lives. Not polite listening, not waiting for your turn. Real listening that changes you. There is a reason it is rare. It costs ego. When you listen well, you temporarily stop protecting your image. You let the other person exist without correcting them. That is hard. But there is a psychological payoff. When people feel heard, their nervous system settles. They become more flexible. They move out of fight or flight. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that plans and reasons, comes back online. Then solutions become possible. I notice something else. People often speak in two channels at once, the content channel and the need channel. The content is the story. The need is what they are trying to protect. Control, respect, belonging, autonomy, competence. If I only answer the content, I miss the need. If I meet the need, the content often softens on its own. This is why repeating back the essence of what someone means can be so powerful, not parroting, capturing the core. It tells them, your inner world made it across the bridge. That single moment can change the whole direction of an interaction. Now I want to talk about the moments when communication collapses. The classic collapse is escalation. You feel unseen, so you intensify. You talk faster, you add more examples, you sharpen your tone. The other person feels attacked, so they defend or withdraw. Then you feel abandoned, so you intensify again. This loop is not about the topic. It is about attachment, which means the way we bond and seek safety with others. When attachment is activated, we stop being strategic. We become primal. In those moments, the most effective skill is restraint. Restraint is not silence as punishment. It is a pause that protects the connection. I like to imagine my words as stones. Once I throw them, I cannot pull them back. A pause lets me choose a smaller stone. I also think about operant conditioning, which means behavior is shaped by consequences. If every time someone shares a concern they get mocked, they will stop sharing. If every time you bring up a boundary you get guilt-tripped, you will start hiding it. Over time, relationships train people, sometimes without anyone noticing. Effective communication is also about what you reward. If you want honesty, you cannot punish it when it arrives. There is a persuasion principle here too. People are more likely to accept influence from someone who seems internally consistent. That is cognitive dissonance, which means the discomfort of holding two conflicting beliefs. If your tone says calm but your body says contempt, people feel the mismatch. They may not name it, but they sense it. Consistency builds trust faster than cleverness. So I pay attention to congruence. Do my words match my face? Do my requests match my actions? Do I ask for clarity while being vague myself? This is not about perfection. It is about alignment. The most effective communicators I know have a quiet habit. They separate intent from impact. Intent is what you meant. Impact is what landed. You can have good intent and still cause harm. You can create impact without intending it. When you respect impact, you show maturity. When you cling only to intent, you sound like you are defending your self-image. This matters because communication is not just information transfer.